He does not want any time between the games. He just wants to steamroll Nihal at this point.
And this is where he wants to end the match. He doesn't want this hanging in the netherworld of a 3 or 4 point lead. If you're Hikaru, you're trying to push this up to a 6 or 7 point match because you know how amazing Nihal is in Bullet. And you know that the SCC this year just has had a habit of things getting turned around in the Bullet. So for Hikaru, you're not playing games. You are stepping firmly on the gas pedal in these next 39 minutes and change.
For sure. And look at Hikaru's face, by the way. He doesn't seem thrilled about how this opening has gone. And we saw this similar opening, I believe it was in the Lovanaronian against Dimitrian Draken match, where they kind of had his IQP structure quite often. But Hikaru, now with the black side against the isolated queen pawn, he just had the white side a couple games ago. And it's interesting to see how the players, they sort of play in a similar style.
Yeah, and the position is very symmetrical here. Nihal decided to recapture with the pawn on d4, keeping the knight for defensive purposes. But is this really the way, Robert, to play ambitiously? It looks like Hikaru has zero problems. And he can even try for an advantage with c6, c5. Does that work out?
I'm guessing, at the very least, Nihal wants to induce that move. It might be better for black in the moment, but it just creates some long-term weaknesses. Instead, Hikaru backtracks. He brings knight back to d7, attacking the pawn on e5. I think bishop f4 seems quite nice. Queen h5 is another possibility. I think Nihal has to, as they seize the initiative, he does it with the move f4. I was a little bit worried if black can take control of the light squares, but I don't think Hikaru's quick enough.
I don't think he is either, and I think Nihal has gotten the upper hand here. Another opportunity that he has to try to capitalize on. Hikaru deploying his bishop to b7. Looks like a foolish developing square, but no. If he manages to play c5 and d4, that bishop turns into a three-headed hydra.
Yeah, and if you could get knight a4 and your bishop to e3 in one move, then black is like strategically in huge trouble because you just clamp down on the dark squares. That's the benefit of having opposite colored bishops. But black also has the move f6 that white needs to keep in mind. If you play bishop e3, I think black immediately strikes with f6.
And I think f6 right now. And I think Nihal has underestimated, and maybe he's prepared e6 in response, followed by f5. So what's the way for Hikaru? He slow rolls it with a6, preparing c5.
And then b4. It's become a very strategic battle.
a5. What's going on? b5, c5, knight d5, knight e5.
I can't predict anything. Rook b1 here, perhaps. After a-b, rook takes b4, hits the bishop on b7. And you would love to lift your rook to the king side. Rook e3 to g3. Or, in this case, rook b1 to b4, play f5, and rook to g4. I know it's a long story, but a rook lift is what white desperately needs for an attack.
And you could deploy the rook to e3 right now.
I like
Two birds with one stone. Defend the knight, aim for g3, aim for g4 with the queen. This is where Nihal just has to change the way he's been playing. And can't fault him for bishop d2, Robert, but again, I feel like it suffers from the same fault that a lot of his moves this match have fallen for, which is just overly passive play, not going for the throat when he needs to try, and giving Hikaru the types of positions he wants. Of course, I'm saying all of this, I would do 5 times worse.
No, of course, we're not trying to say that he's doing a bad job, but I do think from a strategy perspective, he is not putting enough pressure on Hikaru. He's making the safe moves, but that means they're also safe for Hikaru. And right now, queen d5, lined up with the bishop on b7, c5 next. All of a sudden, if c5 and c4 happen, it's black whose pawns are rolling. So for Nihal, will he play queen g4 here? a2 is also loose. You have to consider that. I know the knight on d7 is hanging in this particular variation, but after queen g4, black does have a few things to figure out.
And queen g4 should be played within a couple of seconds. Nihal falling behind on the clock. He goes knight d6 instead, and I thought c5. Okay, now he plays queen g4, but what about rook e6?
Knight f5.
A rook lift of his own. Oh!
Yeah, the e7 square vulnerable.
g6, and then you give up h6 and f5 come. That could end up in checkmate real quickly. Either side could get checkmated here. But Hikaru seems to have the shorter end of the stick as he shoves his pawn through to h5, deflecting the queen. Deflecting. That's a dyslexic pronunciation there.
He allows h4. Rook e6 is still met by knight f5, but then maybe there's that g6 move you talked about.
Yeah, and by the way, this is an idea that's been played by both sides. This h5 followed by g6 defensive concept, very important to remember. And now both sides down to a minute. A bullet game. Here we go.
Okay, knight f5. There's no rook g6.
Must play knight f5. No, he takes the bishop.
Oh, he wants f5 now. Because the queen's on G3.
Rook G6 intermezzo, there was queen F3. Oh, here come the pawns.
Yeah, actually H5 pushed the queen to an even better square to allow for F5. He goes H4 to distract the queen. But what about queen F4?
Queen F4, gotta play, gotta keep the E-pawn. If you take on H4, you give up the crux of your attack. Queen F4 and E6, I think you should try. Yeah, or maybe even F6.
Why is he delaying on queen F4? What is the counterpunch?
I think he's conflicted because queen takes H4 might be tempting. Maybe he's thinking about some F6 move, but all of that seems so
Wait. Queen H4, rook E5, F6. If rook takes E1, there's F takes G7.
Oh! With an intermezzo, queen H8 checkmate is a threat. That's what he's thinking about.
But it wouldn't have worked. It actually would not have worked because black could have thrown in a check of his own to cause distractions. So queen F4 is his choice. He spent a lot of time playing queen F4. He lost his lead on the clock. And Hikaru, he's seeing F6. He's seeing E6. He has to be nervous of those pawns rolling.
Love the way Nihal is handling the attack here. Knight F8 is such a cold-blooded move. Just saying, hey, I don't care about F6. My knight is a hero of a defender when it sits on G6, covering this all-important H8 square. 10 seconds for Nihal. He's got to move.
He really must. And he takes an H4, knight G6, like queen G3 very quickly. And then watch out for E6 as well, because E6 will distract the pawn F7.
Oh, and Hikaru is alert to E6. Watch for Hikaru's pawns, though, Robert. He's got connected passers in the center, and they rumble up the board so quickly.
Watch out for H4, H5 as well. So black's pawn's pushing, white pushing on the flank. Rook A4. What a move.
Attacking the bishop, attacking the knight. Now knight takes F4, gets checkmated.
And rook F4, HG6. How is this surviving?
Oh my God, GF.
Whoa, E6!
On the 6, right?
What a move!
No. Rook H5, queen D4, queen F2.
Oh my gosh, what a move!
H1
he goes
is
queen
Nihal
E3.
winning.
It's over.
Holy oh my God, cheese balls.
Look at those pawns on the 6th rank. It's like Space Invaders up there. And Hikaru Nakamura is going down.
Queen E3, rook E3, rook E6. The win is to play F7, and then
rook B1.
Rook B1 infiltrating to B8.
Wow. And if this game ends here, we will show that variation. Hikaru, he's bleeding the clock. He plays rook E6, but we see this exact variation. F7,
there it is.
Rook B1.
Rook B1. What a cold-blooded way to end. And what a brilliant comeback win for Nihal.
Wow, that might have been the move of the match. E6. I mean, he was throwing all his pawns, everything but the kitchen sink at Hikaru, and he...